Well, boys, we did it. 100 subscribers! Seriously, thank you so much. I know this seems insignificant when compared to someone like Mr. Beast who just got 50 million subscribers, but I never thought anyone would even watch my videos. Hey, now that I have 100 subs on YouTube, let's get to 100 followers on Twitter at Trev_127. Again, thank you so much. Here is my 100 subscriber special, because I gotta complete the trilogy, even if it's in a weird order. It's pretty clear that the Cars sequels are not good. On one hand, you have a movie that failed to have any sort of message due to its obsession with happy endings, and on the other hand, you have a pile of garbage that didn't even try. Why was there any demand for these sequels? What was calling people back to the theaters to watch these Pixar films over something that they actually did try at? Well, to answer that, we gotta take a look at the original film, Cars. Today, we're gonna talk about why this movie is actually pretty good, and why it was understandably criticized at the time of its release. Hot Wheels the movie, starring Owen Wilson as the plotline of every movie in existence. Red Car is a narcissist who dreams of being filthy rich. Red Car meets people who he feels are below his level of talent and intelligence. Red Car learns that none of that matters and becomes friends with them. He learns to care about people beyond himself and makes the right decision at the end of the movie to 1. Help a fellow athlete from a nasty crash, and 2. Turn down the Dinoco offer he had dreamed of at the beginning of the movie. This is every coming-of-age story ever. The plot works because it's proven to work numerous times before, just like how the plot of A New Hope works because it's just the hero's journey story told in space. What makes this movie good is the little bits of originality they throw into it. This is a world where all the humans have turned into cars. Because of that, they focus on car culture things like racing, Route 66, fixing a broken road. Everything they do in this movie is because of their car heritage. Car-itage. When you think of this movie, what comes to mind? That's right, the tractor tipping scene, Radiator Springs, the race scene at the beginning, life is a highway. Is this concept as clever or emotional as something like Toy Story or Monsters Inc? No. The plot of Toy Story can't work unless the characters are toys. Same with Monsters Inc, the plot can't work unless they're all monsters. But with Cars, the characters could very easily just be humans in the cars and not much would change. But like, that would be really boring. This movie exists because it's a love letter to the culture of automobiles. I think it did its job in that area, with the added Pixar personified concept giving it that nice little touch. It certainly has enough original sparks in it to where it is its own thing, even if the plot is very formulaic. But the plot is still great. I mean, they clearly did something right because it's infinitely superior to its garbage sequels, so I guess we gotta talk about it. After a three-way tie, McQueen, the King, and Chick Hicks have to do an epic rematch in California. But oopsie, McQueen falls out of Mac and now he has to catch up with him, so he decides to follow this one random truck going off the highway. Yeah, good idea, bro. He eventually winds up in Radiator Springs and has to fix this road that he demolished. McQueen's behavior to these cars that he feels superior to gradually changes as the film progresses. But it's not just his behavior towards these characters specifically. McQueen's entire character is honestly just to be a garbage human being to everyone. But as the story progresses in Radiator Springs, his behavior starts to change and he begins to learn the essential life lessons that make him a better person. With Mater, he learns that you can't really judge someone just on the surface of what you're seeing. Sure, Mater may be a bit of a dummy, but he's the nicest car McQueen knows. And this kindness eventually spreads to McQueen. Because remember, when he first arrived in Radiator Springs, he just wanted to leave. He only wanted to complete the road so he can leave and go to his race. But once he completes the road, he delays leaving because for the first time, he feels a connection to people. Not only are these cars making McQueen a better person, but what McQueen contributed to this town made it a better place. This group of people finally broke McQueen's narcissism and turned him into a caring person.
When is the last time you cared about something except yourself, Hot Rod?
And when McQueen gets to his big race, he uses this selfless lesson to help a fellow athlete cross the finish line at the end. When I was a kid, I always thought this part was kinda dumb. Why doesn't he just cross the finish line and then back up and help the King? I mean, he's like 5 millimeters away from it. And even recently, I thought this ending was a little forced because I get it, he doesn't care about winning anymore, but does he really need to react like this? It wasn't until my most recent rewatch that I realized something. Chick Hicks and McQueen at the beginning of the movie are basically the same character. character. The movie wants you to believe that Chick Hicks is the villain since McQueen is the main character, but that's honestly the only reason they gave us to not like him. They are both narcissists who dream of Dynaco's sponsorship and will do anything to get it. McQueen stopping at the finish line and letting Chick win the race is McQueen doing him a favor. McQueen is giving everything he wanted to Chick Hicks in hopes that upon receiving it, he'll figure out that the fame, riches, and piston cups aren't the things that will make him happy. And McQueen's perfectly fine with giving all this up because he found a group of people that not only make him happy, but make him a caring person. But you know what? Who cares about any of that? We need the plot of this sequel to progress. McQueen all of a sudden only cares about winning races again, not about hurting Mater's feelings. What do you think? He cares for this one random car who never got her chance at racing? Psh, no, he cares about himself and himself only. I mean, it's not like there was a whole movie before this where he learned to not be a narcissist and to begin caring for other people, right? You see what I mean when I say these sequels didn't take the original into account? It's like they started writing a whole different series, forgetting that some of these characters actually learned stuff in the previous film. Yet, there's still a huge chunk of people who think the original Cars, the only Cars movie that has any thought and care put into it, is a bad movie. Why is that? Well, to answer that, we gotta go back to the year 2006. Strap in, everyone. In January of 2006, Pixar had just been bought by Disney, and the studio had yet to release a movie that the majority of critics and fans considered bad. So you know what they did? They released a movie that a lot of people considered bad. Because when you take away the sequels with nothing worse to really compare it to, you're left comparing it to Pixar's previous works. And the film Pixar released before Cars in 2004 was The Incredibles. Yeah, okay, The Incredibles makes Cars look like trash, I'll admit that. In fact, all of Pixar's movies they had released up to 2006 clearly had more thought, inspiration, and quality behind them than Cars, with the exception of maybe A Bug's Life depending on how you look at it. I don't know. Hey, you wanna know why people like the Star Wars prequels now? Because the fandom decided to look back at those films and say, hey, maybe there was some thought, originality, and care put into these movies, and they're way better than the sequels, right? I'm sure that once Star Wars makes a trilogy that's worse than the sequels, we'll be looking back at them with a sense of nostalgia and love for this trilogy that everyone hated at the time. Much like how if Pixar makes a Cars 4 that's somehow worse than Cars 2, maybe I'll lighten up on that movie. Or better yet, if Pixar makes an original Disney Plus Cars series that's so horrendous that it makes me feel nostalgic for a time when it didn't exist, maybe I'll have to reevaluate this entire trilogy. Who knows, it's all hypothetical. Bottom line, yes, Cars is a good movie. Maybe it took a couple terrible sequels for some to come around to it. I mean, for me, it was always a good movie since I watched it at least a million times when I was a kid, but for others, I understand why it was considered bad. And for those who haven't seen this movie in years, I encourage you to give it a rewatch. I know it may seem like it's on the bottom of the list of Pixar movies to rewatch anytime soon, but I think if the Star Wars fandom can come around to the prequels because they don't like the sequels, then the Pixar fandom can do the same with Cars. Thank you for watching this video. Once again, thank you for 100 subscribers. If you're new, please subscribe and follow my Twitter accounts. I will see you in Radiator Springs. Okay, I only said that because I don't know how to creatively end this video. I guess I'm gonna have to resort to throwing in a meme.
Yeah, it's like a clever little twist of motels made out of caution cones, which of course cars usually try to avoid.
Cone number 1 if you want.
Hey, why do you sound like a middle-aged white lady?